Now we'll look at InfoCaster Manager. InfoCaster Manager controls which content is available to players, and it can control the playback of content on players. It also monitors the health status of players on the network.
This simple diagram will give you a sense of how InfoCaster Manager fits into our InfoCaster network and how the network is set up. Here we have InfoCaster Manager as the network hub, a separate creation station, 4 players, and a file server.
It's important that your network is set up securely with each device behind a firewall to prevent unauthorized access.
This is explained in much greater detail in Chapter 1 of the InfoCaster Manager User Guide, but let's look at some of the key concepts in setting up your secure InfoCaster network. Data flow for communication and publishing is normally set up on port 9001. File transfers are set up on ports 80, 443, and 21 as shown. With 80 as the HTTP port, 443 as the HTTPS port, and 21 as the FTP port. All ports can be configured based on your own network requirements, normally as directed by your IT department. Again, see the user guide for more information on this.
With the network properly set up, let's look at InfoCaster Manager itself.
We'll click on the software shortcut on the desktop and open InfoCaster Manager. The first tab in InfoCaster Manager is Content. It shows us all the content we have, the history of that content, whether or not it has been published, the version, the user who published it, and any comments relating to that content. The Update Content tab allows us to publish the content to all the players, to one player, or to a player group that we've established. We can also set up a custom destination. We can start the update immediately or update the content at a specific time. And that specific time can be either the InfoCaster Manager's time or the local time of the player.
We find that many companies prefer to update their content overnight when there is less traffic on either the local area network or the internet.
This tab also allows us to decide when the new content begins playing, immediately upon receipt, where it will play back seamlessly on the player as soon as it is finished downloading. We can also set a specified time for infocasts that are time-dependent, like a sale or something holiday-related. We can also choose Never when we want content that can be accessed immediately on the player, but have not yet determined when that content will play back in the future. The Players tab gives us a list of the players connected to InfoCaster Manager. The list shows the player name, its location, what group the player is part of, what content is playing, the player status, and the resolution. Selecting a player gives us more detailed information on that player. We can choose which group the player is a part of, delete content, stop or start playback, relaunch or reboot the player. We can even view a playback screen grab to confirm output. The Players Playback tab allows us to set up confidence screen grabs, showing us a still from chosen players every minute.
Harris digital signage systems are designed to meet client needs locally, nationally, or globally. We can set up multiple InfoCaster Manager systems to manage playback in different regions. As an example, our overall signage system might include European Union, Eastern US, and Western US InfoCaster Managers.
The Peer Servers tab allows us to interconnect multiple InfoCaster Managers to share content and players. The Permissions tab allows us to add different administrators to InfoCaster Manager and set what they can and can't do, managing all or specific players, all or specific content, and all or specific publishers. Multiple people can publish content to the network, and we can set the level of access these people have to publish content, whether they can overwrite all, or only specific named content, or only selected content. Permissions are similarly set for content downloading and content approval.
This means that we can choose how much or how little a particular person can access the network to publish and change content, whether it's simply the ability to change specific content on one player, or publish and change all content across the entire digital signage network. We need to be careful that we only allow as much or as little access as appropriate for the particular publisher or administrator.
We can also set up InfoCaster Online to allow the updating of simple content via any web browser, including text, static graphics, and video, or to trigger alarms. Triggers allow us to set up software GPIs that let us trigger all players or a group of players to play back specific content immediately. It could be a weather alert for a particular locale, a big winner on the casino floor that triggers all the players on the floor, or a goal scored in a sports stadium where all InfoCasters play back the same video. Player maps let us visually lay out where players are located in our facilities. We can load a graphic of the map into InfoCaster Manager and drag and drop the players into their correct positions on that map. Then, when we click on the player icon, we get the player information, including name, IP address, software version, status, content, and description. Double-clicking on the icon takes us back to the Players tab with that player selected. We can then do any number of tasks, including relaunching, rebooting, viewing a screen grab of the playout, and more.
Most, if not all, problems can be fixed via the InfoCaster Manager, but on rare occasions we may need to go out to the physical player. The problem could be something as simple as someone having accidentally pulled out the power cord. It only needs to be plugged back in. InfoCasters have been designed so that as soon as power is restored, the player will immediately boot up and begin playing out the scheduled InfoCast, without further need of our intervention. Now let's take a look at the Status tab.
We can set the status display to give us as little or as much information as we need to properly manage our network, its groups, and players. We can track CPU usage, disk space issues, player disconnection, file management, just about anything we could possibly want to know about the status of our network.
An InfoCaster Manager can be set up to email us with any serious problems, allowing us to respond quickly, often providing the fix from within InfoCaster Manager itself. InfoCaster Manager and Punctuate, Harris Digital Signage's intelligent scheduling and billing option, create a powerful revenue-generating system. In our next module, we'll look at Punctuate.